Hello everyone, and welcome to my presentation on faith healing, which I definitely did not finish an hour ago. This is Madeline Kara Newman. She's 11 years old, and she is afflicted with type 2 diabetes, a condition that is very easily treatable. Give this girl a regimen of insulin shots and she'll be fine. However, her condition was never diagnosed. In fact, Kara, as she was known to her friends and family, hadn't seen the inside of a doctor's office since she was given her state-mandated immunizations as an infant. As such, her condition did nothing but worsen, starting with headaches and an unquenchable thirst, and ending with Kara, who by that time had lost the energy to speak, laying on the floor of her family's rural Wisconsin home on Easter Sunday, her skin yellow and cracked and dry, her pain intolerable, as her family and friends wept and chanted and prayed for divine intervention, which never came. An ambulance was called only after the girl had stopped breathing, and there was nothing that could be done after that point. This girl did not suffer because her parents were negligent. She did not die because they were malicious. Kara Newman lost her life because her parents were people of perfect faith. Scripture in hand, Dale and Leilani were certain that the Lord their God was going to reach down from the heavens and lay hands on their daughter to cure her affliction. To seek the help of a doctor would have been an irredeemable sign of weakness and surely would have resulted in the family being cut off from their Heavenly Father. And so they prayed, and they chanted, and they sat by as the little girl before them moaned in agony, too weak to even cry. Dale and Leilani were each ordered by a judge to serve 1 month in jail each for 6 years so that they could, quote, think about Kara and what God wanted them to learn from this, unquote. They were also told to allow a public health professional to examine their 2 underage children who remained in their custody at least once every 3 months and to immediately take them to a hospital following any serious injuries. Kara's parents committed a crime. They were tried, found guilty, and given a sentence. But let it never be said that Dale and Leilani were bad people. It's easy to look at a situation like this and say, those monsters, how could they do that? How could they be so cruel? But these 2 people did not sit idly by and watch their daughter slip away. They did not stand aside and laugh at her misery and revel in their suffering. Dale and Leilani provided their daughter what was, as far as they knew, the best possible care. They did everything that was in their power to ensure that their child would wake up the next morning safe and happy. I say again that they were not guilty of negligence. They were not guilty of malice. They were guilty, as Dale himself said during their trial, of trusting the Lord's wisdom completely. Guilty of asking for heavenly intervention. Guilty of following Jesus Christ when the whole world did not understand. Guilty, he said, of obeying the Lord their God. And this is the tragedy of spiritual healing. That sane, well-adjusted people can believe in an idea so strongly that they are willing to sacrifice their time, their money, their lives, and those of their children in order to prove their dedication to it, even when it has been shown time and time again to fail. That people can be so convinced that they have been healed of their ills that they will discard medications that their bodies need in order to function, and after suffering the consequences as a result, be blamed for their own ailments, and told that if they had only tried harder, prayed louder, had more faith, that God would not have hesitated to cure them of arthritis, cancer, blindness, deafness, diabetes. They have been tricked into placing their trust and their well-being into the hands of a deity who, when he is needed the most, vanishes into the ether. I know that Ben wouldn't be happy if I went any further without defining my terms. So what is faith healing? According to dictionary.com, faith healing is defined as, I love it, healing through prayer or religious faith.
Can you make those letters any smaller?
I can, but I'm not going to.
What point is that?
I'm sorry. I definitely did this more than an hour ago. According to dictionary.com, faith healing is defined as healing effected through prayer or religious faith, or a method employing faith or prayer in the hope of receiving such healing. It goes by several other common names, including spiritual healing and the laying on of hands, both of which I will use throughout this talk. The American Cancer Society lists its scientific name as
stupidity.
Moving on. Faith healing originated long before Christianity did. Rituals similar to the laying on of hands have been traced back to ancient Egyptian and Babylonian civilizations, and it has also been widely believed in the past that rulers of nations have the ability to heal people through touch. However, with Christian faith healing I began, and with Christian faith healing I shall focus. Spiritual healings are performed in many places in the Bible, primarily by Jesus, although it is also stated that the disciples were given the ability to heal in several gospel verses. And in the book of Acts, the following story is told of Peter as he traveled in Lydda. There he found a certain man named Aeneas, who had been bedridden 8 years and was paralyzed. And Peter said to him, "Aeneas, Jesus the Christ heals you. Arise and make your bed." And then he arose immediately. It is also claimed in Acts that Peter raised a woman from the dead. In Joppa, there was a disciple named Tabitha. She was always doing good and helping the poor. About that time she became sick and died, and her body was washed and placed in an upstairs room. Lydda was near Joppa, so when the disciples heard that Peter was in Lydda, they sent 2 men to him and urged him, "Please come at once." Peter went with them, and when he arrived, he was taken upstairs to the room. All the widows stood around him, crying, showing him the robes and other clothing that Tabitha had made while she was still with them. Peter sent them all out of the room, and then he got down on his knees and prayed. Turning toward the dead woman, he said, "Tabitha, get up." She opened her eyes, and seeing Peter, she sat up. He took her by the hand and helped her to her feet. Then he called for the believers, especially the widows, and presented them to her to them alive. So it's been established that the followers of Jesus are able to heal the sick within the Christian mythos, but what about believers in the modern day? Do they have that same power? Mark chapter 16, verses 17 and 18 state, "And these signs shall follow those who believe. In my name they shall cast out demons, they will speak with new tongues, they will take up serpents, and if they drink anything deadly, it will by no means hurt them. They will lay hands on the sick, and they will recover." Oops. John 14, 12 through 14 states, "Most assuredly I say to you, he who believes in me, the works that I do, he will do also. And greater works than these he will do, because I go to my Father. And whatever you ask in my name, that I will do, that the Father may be glorified in the Son. If you ask anything in my name, I will do it." No. Considering that Jesus' works include healing blindness and leprosy, these verses and others like them seem to make it perfectly clear that any Christian has the power to heal the sick and cast out demons. So does faith healing work? The simple answer, no. In fact, some might say that it is, and this next slide is just for Aaron. Bullshit. However, there are many Christian groups who believe that God alone can heal the sick, and that the use of modern medicine is nothing more than a lack of faith. The vast majority of these groups are very small, however, one has grown to great prominence: the Christian Scientists. Christian Scientists believe that spiritual reality is the one true reality, and that all else is illusory. As such, all illness is psychosomatic, caused by fear, ignorance, and sin, and can only be healed through prayer and introspection. Needless to say, many studies have shown that Christian Science practitioners show significantly higher mortality rates than groups that use conventional medicine. Specifically one that compared the morbidity rates of graduates of Principia College, a Christian Science university, to graduates of the University of Kansas. Another study performed by the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention compared graduates of Principia to Loma Linda University, which was a Seventh-day Adventist college, and found similar results. In a 1998 analysis of 172 children who died from religiously induced medical neglect...
I gotta stop you. Die more often than normal people? I think the death rate is exactly the same. They all die.
It's true.
Yeah, but...
They all die eventually.
The age.
They die sooner than...
The age.
Thank you very much.
You didn't say that.
He's right. That is a legitimate criticism.
Yeah.
They die over and over again, whereas everybody else only dies once.
In a 1998 analysis of 172 children who died from religiously induced medical neglect, 28 of those were found to be from a Christian Science background. The American Cancer Society has this to say on the subject of spiritual healing. Faith Faith healing may promote peace of mind, reduce stress, relieve pain and anxiety, and strengthen the will to live, but available scientific evidence does not support the claims that faith healing can actually cure physical ailments. The placebo effect can make a person feel better, but it has not been found to induce remission or to improve chance of survival from cancer. Also in 2006, Harvard Medical School participated in a research study known as the Study of the Therapeutic Effects of Intercessory Prayer, or STEP, which kept track of 1,802 hospital patients who were to undergo cardiovascular surgery, who were divided into 3 groups of roughly 600 each. One such group received no prayers, one group received prayers, and one group received prayers but was not made aware of the fact that they were receiving prayers. Of those groups, the one which was made aware of the one that was made aware that people were praying for it suffered from the most complications resulting from the surgery, 197 compared to 187 and 158 in the other 2 groups. However, this does not account for all of the first-hand healings that faith healers perform at their regular performances. How does science account for all of the miracles that occur before a live audience? How does science account for pain being eliminated, limbs being lengthened, the blind being made to see, the deaf being made to hear? There's a way.
Put up the bullshit thing again.
What I'm going to show you now is a clip from a video that Gretchen sent me called Miracles for Sale, which is done by the popular illusionist and hypnotist Darren Brown, who takes a scuba diving instructor and turns him into Pastor James, a full-fledged faith healer, in order to help expose this disgusting web of lies and deception that people in this line of work employ to fool their audiences into believing that they've been blessed by God with the power to heal the sick, when in actuality they're just employing the same tricks that stage hypnotists do to lure their audiences into a suggestible state. Here he covers the 3 most common faith healing tricks and how they're done.